One of the best days of my life was the absolute realization that no one is going to save me but God. And it's like you almost have this profuse, profusely keen awareness that there is none but God when you get to that point to save you. Because for me, what happened was a lot of the people in my life ended up choosing different paths than I did after my awakening. And when I tried to talk about it with them, I soon realized that they were nowhere near understanding what I was really getting at. And through time, it really showed me that the people in your life are either propelling you forward or they are making an obstacle out of your destiny. And if they're making an obstacle about your destiny and on the path to your destiny, it's probably best to let them go. And I've gotten to the point now to where I don't think twice before I need to let somebody go. And of course, there are going to be times where it's going to be difficult. Like if you had some kind of ego investment or some kind of emotional attachment to this person, then it's going to be a little bit more difficult and challenging. But luckily, I've been a person that uses logic and reason more so than not. And though it's gotten me into a bit of trouble, it's also helped me tremendously in practical aspects of life. And it's so crazy to me how I can speak so rationally, and yet some people will completely miss the entire picture. It's like people need to broaden their horizons. People need to understand that Father Time is coming for us all, whether we like it or not. And so all that we can do is be prepared for that moment. And it took me a long time to realize this, and it took me a longer time even so to put it more into practice. I would say about 2 years ago was the day that I realized that truly no one is going to save me in this rut that I'm stuck in. And it just seemed like everything was happening all at once, and yet everything that I needed, like I knew exactly where I needed to go. It was just a matter of how to get there. And so that was a relief, but it was also a troubling priority for me because I didn't want to have to take those steps, if I'm being completely honest with myself. And the reason I didn't want to take those steps is because I knew it would be painful. And I knew that I would have to do a lot of certain things to put me in a position to where I can get to that point. And so 2 years ago, almost to the day, was when I made this decision. And I immediately started to get an exit route. You know, I needed to remove myself from the equation. And this wasn't about any kind of fearful attachment or fearful avoidant attachment. This was about being around the wrong people, knowing I'm around the wrong people, and having to rely on myself for all that I'm worth. Because at the time, I had built up a lot of confidence and self-esteem spiritually and emotionally, but my physical part of my being was not up to par. And still to this day, I would say that my physicality is the thing that I'm working on the most. Even though I love being Like, I love playing sports. I love being active. I haven't taken a day off the gym for a year now. Actually, over a year. And apart from the days I've been sick or there's been like holidays where the gym's closed, I haven't taken off a day from the gym. And the reason for that is because there was once a time where I didn't like going to the gym. Not necessarily because I was afraid. I was more afraid of cardio than anything else. But like, I could lift weights. Like, lifting weights is easy compared to like having to run 5 miles. That's tough. That's tough work, man. Like, having to run 5 miles before your workout and then lifting weights after. That's what I've been doing here and there for the past few weeks. I've been running 5 to 6 miles and then doing a full hour and a half to 2 hour weightlifting session afterward. And my goal was to just, if I can just get the miles in, I don't care how long it takes me. I'm just going to get the miles in, go as fast as I can, and then start my weightlifting routine. And I didn't used to be that way. And I've been eating a lot better recently as well. And I soon realized that because I wasn't making the kind of gains that I wanted to, I soon realized that I needed to eat more protein. I needed to rearrange my eating habits and my eating times to match the intensity, and I needed to make sure I was getting well enough rest, because I was working out for probably about 3 hours a day or so, if not more, here and there for those times. And then I'll play basketball afterward, after weightlifting, if I need to or if I want to, because if there's some people playing basketball, I love playing basketball. The point is that I had to rearrange my life schedule to fit my goals. And I had to realize that there were other things that are higher in priority than to choose the validation of other people, to choose people pleasing over myself, to choose compassion when sometimes I needed to choose more of a stern approach. I'm not saying it's wrong to have compassion, but if you give too much compassion, because compassion means to suffer with, right? But if you're suffering with the person so much so that you lose yourself, that's no longer compassion. That is addiction. That is an addiction to the relationship. And that's what I had in a lot of these situations 4 to 2 years ago. And I had been like really rooting out a lot of my relationships in that time. And it wasn't until the last 2 years where I was pretty much all alone for, I would say, 8 to 12 months. I was almost completely isolated, apart from people at work and such, and out at the coffee shops. But even then, like, I didn't like to go out. I still don't like to go out. I don't like going out unless I have to. I don't like... the reason for it is because it messes with the energy that I have within me, and I can sense the negativity around me sometimes when I'm out in the matrix. And it's just not good for me to be around sometimes because it makes me more tired. And I absolutely do believe that we have energetic fields around us, and as a presence, right? Because you've been in the presence of certain people and you can feel drawn to them, right? You can feel attracted to them, or you can feel repelled or repulsed by them. People have a vibe, right? Like, people definitely have some kind of energetic field, some kind of quantum level understanding of what's happening around their vicinity. And so I definitely believe that the people that you hang out around, you end up becoming like, for sure. And it's not just a byproduct of who they are and what they do. It's a byproduct of who you choose to interact with and what kind of interactions you choose to have. And so during those 8 to 12 months when I was completely alone, and if you're a chosen one, there's going to be a time where you are going to be alone and isolated. And God's going to do this for a few different reasons. But I thoroughly and genuinely believe that people should spend at least 1 to 3 years alone. And I plan to be alone, living alone anyway, for the foreseeable future. And the reason being is because I like my space. I like being alone. I like growing closer to my Creator. And I like being in control of my time and my resources and my relationships a lot more when I'm living alone. Because when you live with other people, sometimes you get, like when I was living in the dorms at college, I remember that like you kind of just conglomerated with each other. And you had to some degree, because everybody had different schedules and you only had like 1 or 2 bathrooms in the dorms, like in your actual dorm room, and you were sharing it with 6 different people. And so, or 5 different people. There were 6 people in the total dorms that I was in, and you had to share. And then people were coming and going with girls or with other friends, or they were going into this or they were doing that. They were doing laundry. Like there was just so many aspects of living in a dorm that in hindsight, it was so fucking chaotic that I would not recommend it unless like maybe like for a semester or 2 to just get the experience if you wanted that, like if you truly wanted that. But no, not at all. If you are looking for peace of mind, the dorm room is not the fucking place to go. So, and most of them were, even though we were all going to college and everyone was on like a similar path, right? A lot of these people were more hindrances. They were not propelling me. And I wasn't really able to propel them because we just were so different in what our true end goal was. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it at all. But there were just these certain aspects of the experience that taught me that you can't really rely on people. Like you really can't. And I'm not saying that like you shouldn't trust them or people aren't able to be reliable, but truly reliable and genuine people that are sincere in their intentions, they're really difficult to come by in today's day and age. And it is what it is, really. Like, I'm not trying to be sad or a sob story or anything like that when I say that. It's just, it is what it is. And it's a fact that there are not a lot of people like that are reliable. There are not a lot of people that can take accountability, true accountability and responsibility for what they're doing in their life. And a lot of people just want to have a good time and that's it. You know, they live their life the same as everybody else. And here you come along as a chosen one, just being who you are, who you really are, and you turn out to be a little bit different from everybody else. And then you get gang stalked, or you get narcissists attracted to you, or you don't really know what you're getting yourself into. That's the problem. You don't really know who you are until you come into the truth. And over the past 2 years, I've been ascending in the spiritual aspects of my life. And I had a lot of things happen to me in college that if I were to tell anybody about my certain experiences psychologically, it would have been like I don't think I would have stayed in the university because of the things that I was going through. And the reason that I didn't tell anybody was because I knew that nobody else was really talking about these things. Like when I first had my visions in my meditations, I did not I didn't know that that was possible until it just happened. And so when that first happened, I was very scared and I was very frightened, and I didn't know that it was actually something that God was leading me toward. And I didn't even really believe in God up until about 2 years ago. Like, I knew I was spiritual, and I knew there was a higher power, but I didn't believe in Jesus at all. And when I did come into the truth of Jesus, it was just a happening. I just stumbled into it. And I thank God every day for that, because that was the day. It was one of the worst days and best days of my life. And that was the day that I realized that nobody is going to save me but God. And so remember, everybody, that we have to keep encouraging each other, the people that are actually in the truth. We have to stay encouraged, and we have to keep a positive mindset. Of course, be realistic, but stay positive. There's so much negativity out there that I think the most people want nowadays is just a little bit of, you got it. Like, go get them, Tiger. That's that's what people want now. So it's what people need, really, too. So with that being said, as Father Time comes for us all, and as one day we will all be gone from this earth, let us choose the ways that fulfill destinies, that fulfill the will of creation itself, and to excel and exceed in all that we have to do and to offer in this world. Peace be with you all. Till next time.